So I'm going to ask you to imagine a time. Sorry, okay, close your eyes. I'm going to ask you to imagine a time when you've been lonely. And I'm not talking about just kind of lonely, I'm talking about you're so lonely that you feel like you're just drowning by yourself and no one around you is paying attention or no one is noticing. I'm going to ask you to imagine a time when you're so lonely that you feel like even God isn't there. Now, I'm going to ask you to think of how you got out of that. The love that you felt from your friends, your peers, and God that brought you out of that. The amazing love that just made you able to take a breath, take a step back, and keep on fighting your way through. Okay, you can open your eyes now. We all struggle. I think fourth quarter has been quite a struggle for most of us. It's sort of like if you do track, you'll understand. If not, you'll probably understand anyway. And a 400-meter race, the last 100 meters, that's fourth quarter, which makes sense, you know, it's the fourth of the four. The last 100 meters is super difficult. You're dying. You feel like if you take one more step, you're gonna fall. And you just have to keep going. You have to try to maintain that pace. You have to just keep going. That's kind of how struggles are too. When they're coming to an end, you kind of feel like there is no end. Another thing I want to talk to you about is how when you're struggling, you start facing lies. And when you start believing the lies, the more tired you get in your struggles. These lies might include things like you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not fast enough, you're not trying enough, you're not spiritual enough, you're not pretty enough, anything. They're lies that Satan is using against you to keep you in this dark place, and they're so not true. I want to share with you a song. It's called, don't worry, I'm not going to sing. It's called Back Home, and it's by J.J. Heller. It's really good. It's just talking about struggles, and I'm going to just try to give you some encouragement. And, yeah. So the first verse of the song says, "Don't let your eyes get used to darkness, the light is coming soon." It's really easy to get used to going through the motions and simply just coping when you're struggling. When you're so tired of struggling and you just don't have the energy to keep fighting, you're just there, you're just hoping that you can make it through, you're just going through your day, not really noticing things, just really struggling, really in a dark place. This is when you have to remember that the struggle is not a permanent situation. It's a temporary thing, and though it may seem like it's lasting forever, it's going to come to an end. I have proof of this. It's in the Bible, and it's Romans 8:18, and it says, "For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us." This means that even in your very darkest place, that pain that felt like it was eating you alive, it can't even compare to the other side of the spectrum, which is the happiness that this one, this one's on. Do I put this down? Okay, sorry, I'm not tech oriented. I don't know what's happening. So the happiness that you receive when you get out of the struggle and you just get to the light at the end of that tunnel and you feel like God is just so there and He's just brought you through this and you just feel so encouraged. And if you've been there, you know that doesn't even compare to the saddest moment in your struggle. So I think that's pretty encouraging. The next verse says, "Don't let your heart get used to sadness. Put your hope in what is true." In struggles, we also tend to start to buy into the lies that the enemy tells us. They can be both about God's character and who He is, and also about our own character. So I'm going to share with you some verses to combat The first one is Ecclesiastes 3:11, and it says, "He has put eternity into man's heart, yet so..." Sorry, I need my glasses and I'm wearing them. "He has made everything beautiful in its time. Also, he has put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end." I found this verse incredible because not only does it share with us that everything that God does, even our struggles in life, have a purpose, it also shares with us that even if we don't know what's happening, which we usually don't, and we don't know why it's happening, that's also part of the plan. Because that way, when we get to the end of it and you see all that God has done for you, it's like a big wow, and you're just like overwhelmed with how God took every single tiny detail and just is using it for his own good. The next verse is Malachi 3:6. And Malachi 3:6 says, "For I, the Lord, do not change. Therefore, you, O children of Jacob, are not consumed." This is telling us not only about God's character, but about our characters. It's telling us about God's character in that it tells us that he's never changing. He's the same God that has existed for all of time with the same characteristics and the same unfailing love and promises. And it also tells us the truth about our own character and our own identity in Christ, and that's that no matter how bad our struggles are, we aren't being consumed, and you aren't drowning even if you feel like you are. Also, Isaiah 41:10, which says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Then the next verse says, "No matter how the wind may blow, it cannot shake the sun." When we are in deep struggle and we start to lose hope, we start to think, what if God can't handle this? Or even worse, what if God doesn't care enough about me to handle this anymore? What if he's lost hope in my abilities? Well, that's not true. Deuteronomy 31:6 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you." So this is just a good reminder that even when you feel alone, you're not alone. Back to Isaiah 41. Verse 13 says, "For I, the Lord your God, hold your right hand. It is I who say to you, fear not, I am the only one. I am the one who helps you." To drop this from the mic. Then the second to last verse says, "Lay your sorrows on the ground. It's time to come back home." This is the time in a struggle. This is the time in a struggle where you have to recenter yourself. You have to reestablish your foundation. And that may not mean that the struggle is going to be over or that it's going to seem easier, but it's going to feel like you're not going through it alone. And that when you realize God's promises and that he does promise to get you through your trials, it's going to make you feel like it's not the end of the line for you. And the last verse says, "When the future seems uncertain," and I thought of seniors especially because you guys are going on, and I know it can be scary, like the coming of a storm, your loving Father carries his children when they can't walk anymore. So, most importantly, you have to remember God's got you. He is with you. He loves you more than you will ever be able to comprehend, and you are not alone. You are also surrounded by people who love you and who care for you and just want to be there for you. The last verse I want to share with you and leave you with is Zephaniah 3:17, and it says, "The Lord your God is in your midst, a mighty one who will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you by his love. He will exult over you with loud singing." So yeah, hope that's encouraging for you.